Hey, good morning. It's Friday. I'm driving to work. Today's my last shift at the group home, 7 to 7. And, I'm excited. I'm excited about the day. And, I got a couple more topics the other day from people. And that excites me, because I like to share information and discuss deep topics. So yesterday, several people actually talked to me about this, but they wanted to talk about expectations and relationships. So I was like, okay, cool. And the biggest question is, in dealing with unrealistic expectations, okay? And so, I struggle with that. Because, you guys know from talking to me and reading my posts and everything that I have extremely high expectations for myself and my performance and just my life in general. I have high expectations. Does that make it unrealistic? So, I was driving and I was just thinking, okay, so what is an unrealistic expectation? Because when we make these expectations, do we think they're unrealistic at the time? No. We make these expectations out of hopes and dreams. Expectations come from hopes and dreams. So, somebody will tell me, well, it's best not to have any expectations, and then you won't ever be disappointed. And I guess that's true. But I can't imagine never having hope for the future or hope for a relationship or hope that things are going to get better. I think sometimes our expectations are too specific. I think that may make it unrealistic. Because I'm thinking, when I think of an unrealistic expectation, I think, okay, let's look at a relationship. Do we expect that the person we're talking to, the person we're with, the person we are interested in is always going to understand us? Okay? And keep in mind, some of these expectations are subconscious, but just because they're subconscious doesn't make them any more realistic. Okay? So here's another one. Do we expect to never have to forgive the person we're with? Okay? Do we expect to have a relationship without a solid foundation of communication and trust or respect? Do we expect that person to be the sole source of our joy, of our esteem, and our confidence? Okay, do you guys see where I'm going with this? Do we expect the person that we profess to love and that we do love to love us back with the same intensity, with the same actions, with the same thoughtfulness? Because if anybody's read the book, The 5 Love Languages, it talks about the communication of love and how we all communicate that in different ways. Because we come from different backgrounds, we come from different families, we have a whole different mindset when it comes to giving and receiving love. So, in my book, the new book I got coming out, I do a whole chapter on effective communication. And in order for effective communication, like communicating love, we tend to communicate the way we understand things ourselves. And what are the odds that the person we're with can not only read our mind, but has the exact same perception as we do? Means they see things the same way we do. So, like, if I put a piece of art in a piece of abstract art, you know those ink blots and stuff, but if you go to a museum or an art gallery, you'll see some exquisite pieces of art. And I put a couple in front of that painting. Will that couple see that painting and feel that painting the same exact way? Chances are absolutely not. And personally, I think that's what makes a relationship an incredible partnership, because we bring different perceptions to the table, different skills to this table, different understandings to the table. And I think another unrealistic expectation is we get in this relationship with this other person and we totally underestimate the amount of work it takes to form an effective bond of communication with that other person. And you would think we'd be more invested in really working to communicate with this person, to talk and understand. Communication is a dialogue. Communication is like a highway, okay? And it's not a one-way highway. It's not a one-way street. It's got two lanes. One is going and one is coming. Just like our lungs. Our lungs will expel air and it will intake air. Our heart receives good blood and it expels bad blood. Everything in our life is a give and take, a trade, a bartering system. And I think that's one of the unrealistic expectations we have, is that we don't fine-tune the communication. Hold on, I'm about to pass this guy. Okay. So I think those expectations are unrealistic. The expectation on ourselves. So when I look at myself, when I look at the world around me, the same thing with dealing with people. If I have specific expectations, like I don't know, everybody at work is going to appreciate what I do today. That's just ridiculous. Okay. Everybody on Facebook is gonna like what I have to say. Excuse me. Everybody's gonna even want to hear what I gotta say. That's ridiculous. Not everybody's interested. Not everybody wants to tune in and see Will. Not everybody likes Will. I know that sounds crazy. But that's the truth. I mean, it's unrealistic to think that all people will respect, like, and understand you. And it's okay if they don't. In fact, let's be truthful, sometimes I get more information and insight from my haters or from the people that criticize me than from the people who love and adore me. And mind you, I totally adore my friends who are there for me and have my back. But I learn more from the criticism. So another unrealistic expectation is how we handle rejection and criticism. When we run into rejection, we act like we were never going to get a negative comment. We were never going to get a rejection. We were never going to get somebody who's going to be mad at us or somebody who's going to misunderstand us. And we run into these situations with such shock. It's funny because sometimes I talk to people and they've been in a relationship or they've been dealing with a family member for decades. And that family member or that loved one has not really changed their attitude or the way they respond and communicate. And I'm like, my question is, okay, why haven't you gotten used to the way Uncle James talks to you? Because it's like every time you talk to Uncle James, he totally crushes you. Let me turn that off. He totally crushes your feelings. You're utterly destroyed. your self-esteem is just smashed to pieces just from a few comments Uncle James has given you. And sometimes it's the same comment. You know, he's just a bitter, angry old man. You know, so get over it. You know, the expectation for people to change is not a bad expectation. It's not an unrealistic expectation. But I think it's unrealistic with the time frame we put on people. And change is not it's not part of the natural evolution. It requires work. So if you're with someone and you're expecting them to change and they're not doing any work to change, you're going to be disappointed every time. So, you know, those are some of the unrealistic expectations that I can really, you know, think of right now. I personally think expectations are a part of growth. Expectations give us kind of a direction to move in. I think it becomes unrealistic when we have these expectations without putting the work and the sweat equity into it. Like, I expect to lose 50 pounds within the next 3 to 4 months, okay? Now, it's unrealistic if I expect to do that without nutrition and exercise, okay? I expect to be financially much better off than I am now by the end of summer. Now, it's unrealistic to expect that if I'm not putting in the work, if I'm not putting out resumes, if I'm not, you know, talking to people, networking, if I'm not, you know, fine-tuning the new book I got coming out, you know, if I'm not working my resources and becoming creative, assertive, and inventive. It's unrealistic for me to expect to be wealthy if I'm not prepared to do the work. So that's my thought. Those are my thoughts today on expectations, you know. I don't think there's anything wrong with expectations. I think what's wrong is to have an expectation and not be prepared for setbacks. Not be prepared to do the work. Not be prepared for a reasonable time frame for change to occur. So I hope that helps. Okay, I hope that really helps everybody. And I'll be talking about relationships more. But that's my take for today. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos this weekend, trying to download them all to YouTube. So, you know, just if you guys have any comments or any suggestions or any thoughts, please message me and let me know. Okay? Talk to you later.